I'm Rebecca Blumenstein with the Wall Street Journal, and I'm here with John Donahoe, the CEO of eBay. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Nice to be here, Rebecca.
So Carl Icahn, after backing off of Apple, has set his sights firmly on eBay. You've received 5 public letters in recent days. What are you hearing from investors? How concerned are people about this?
Well, there's sort of 2 issues here. There's a sideshow around corporate governance on issues that happened 5 years ago that are just unfounded. And that's what Carl's letters are focused on. What I'm focused on and what our investors are focused on is how do you best drive value for eBay over time? Mm-hmm. And I believe that eBay and PayPal together will drive greater growth and greater success for our customers and for our shareholders.
But some have pointed out that other payment companies, their stock has been rising in the recent year, and you yourself have admitted that you've looked constantly at separating PayPal. I mean, is there a scenario for kind of giving in to some of the constant questions about this and just getting it over with sooner rather than later?
Well, as I said, the board and I look at this on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Namely, we look at what's the best way to drive value for eBay shareholders. And we've made the determination that that's with eBay and PayPal together. Mm-hmm. And that strategy's paid off. As you know, over the last 3 years, our revenue's grown 20%, earnings grown over 15%. Our shares are up 75% over the last 3 years in a market, NASDAQ up roughly 55%. Mm-hmm. Over the last 5 years, our shares are up over 400%. Mobile is probably the most important platform shift that's mm-hmm. happened in the last 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. And we invested heavily as a company in mobile early on. PayPal in 2010 had $600 million of mobile payments volume. 80 to 90% of which were on the eBay mobile app, because it was the only way to pay on the eBay mobile app. Mm-hmm. 3 short years later, PayPal did $27 billion of mobile payments volume. That's a almost 50 times increase. So PayPal got mobile payments going on eBay, which has grown itself to $22 billion of mobile commerce volume, and that's enabled PayPal to have a clear lead in mobile payments, both on and now off of eBay. Mm-hmm. And so there's a strong network effect of having the 2 businesses together. Mm-hmm.
But in that growth, is that kind of part of the answer here or something you're struggling with? I mean, what would eBay look like without PayPal? I mean, PayPal has most of the profits and the growth at this point, doesn't it?
Well, no, eBay contributes over half of PayPal's profits. Mm-hmm. It's another good example of how they're stronger together. That gives us the latitude to have PayPal be very aggressive off of eBay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And to pursue things that are maybe less profitable, but more in line with where growth opportunities lie. A good example would be growth in emerging markets, BRIC and emerging markets, where together we're being very aggressive, making investments in Brazil and Russia and India mm-hmm. and China. And so together, with the profitability that eBay provides for PayPal, we're able to be more aggressive and get further in those markets.
Of all of Mr. Icahn's assertions, perhaps the one that has received the most attention is the conflicts of interest that exist at eBay and other tech companies. The fact that Mr. Andreessen sits on 7 boards and VC money basically getting automatic board seats. This is certainly a common practice at other tech companies. Do you see any validity in his assertion here?
Well, the best way to drive shareholder value, Rebecca, is to put together the very best board. You want the best board members that have diverse backgrounds, relevant experience, and expertise. Mm-hmm. And the eBay board is a world-class board. We've got great investors, we have great former operators and current CEOs, we have great former CFOs. And together that board is able to make the best possible decisions. When conflicts occur, and conflicts occur on all boards, mm-hmm. the respective board member recuses him or herself. And that's certainly what Mark did in the case of Skype.
You don't see any difference in the way that tech companies operate versus companies in other sectors. I mean, there's a certain smugness of Silicon Valley in the fact that VC and so many of the boards are really intertwined.
Well, I think there's many examples both in tech and out of tech where investment professionals, people that invest, whether in venture, private equity, or in other kinds of investments, sit on boards. They add value. Mm-hmm. And anytime you have an investment professional on a board, there's potential for conflict. There's some interesting examples where Mr. Icahn himself has been on boards advocating venture capitals and when there have been conflicts of interest with he or other people related to him. So as long as you follow a good governance process, that's what's most important.
Where does this go from here? Have you met with Mr. Icahn? Is there anything you see that you could do to try to diffuse his attacks on the company?
Well, I meet regularly with our largest investors, and including Mr. Icahn. And what our investors want is me to stay focused on the most important issue at hand here, which is how we drive the greatest innovation, the greatest execution, and the greatest growth for eBay and PayPal and compete in the marketplace. And so I'm not going to get distracted by the media sideshow around governance. I'm going to stay focused where our investors want me to stay focused, which is on driving value for our business, and through doing that, driving value for our investors.
Speaking of the underlying business, one of the biggest IPOs of the year will be Alibaba, which is doing an offering probably in the fall. What is your sense of how the company stacks up, and how worried are you about Alibaba going global?
Well, Alibaba's done a great job in China, and Jack Ma's a wonderful entrepreneur, and they've done a great job. Commerce is a global game. Commerce is a game where you need both buyers and sellers. And we're blessed with 140 million active buyers in 190 countries around the world that know the eBay brand, that trust the eBay brand, that know when you pay with PayPal, you're safe, it's convenient, and it's covered. And so we'll continue to build out our global commerce network. Last year we processed over $210 billion of global commerce around the world safely, conveniently, with 2 trusted brands. And so we'll continue to invest in those.
You have accomplished a lot as CEO since you took over. There were some pretty dark days. In 2008, the stock sank to $10. You've been called one of the most celebrated CEOs in Silicon Valley. Has the past few days been one of the biggest challenges you've ever faced in terms of Icahn so firmly training his sights on eBay?
You know, as you said, I've been through some tough times before. What I did then and what I'm going to do now is focus on our customers, focus on innovation, focus on our team and our employees so that we innovate and execute. Because at the end of the day, the results in the market is what matters.
What do you think the biggest challenges that eBay faces now?
Well, it's continuing to innovate. We've invested heavily in mobile, and we're continuing to invest in mobile. A great example of this is our acquisition of Braintree last year. This enables PayPal to be in all of the new emerging mobile payments apps and new business models, things like Uber, Airbnb, Living Social. And so PayPal leading in mobile, extending its lead in mobile payments is an important priority, just as eBay in mobile commerce. Brick and emerging markets, I said earlier, where there's 2 billion internet users today. That number is going to more than double over the next 3 or 4 years. 80% of the new users to the internet are going to come from the brick and emerging markets. Interestingly, in many cases, first experiencing the internet on a cheap smartphone. They're going to want to transact. They're going to want to become global commerce citizens. So eBay is a globally known brand name that's great at cross-border transactions. PayPal is a way they can immediately get payment credentials in this world. So you see us investing in the brick and emerging markets. So mobile and global expansion are 2 of our most important growth areas.
We were just talking about the events in the Ukraine. Does something like that, you know, you've been bullish on Russia, does it make you rethink the emerging markets? There's certainly more risks and instability in many of those markets. Well,
you have to have a long-term time horizon. You know, and that's what I have to take. So whether it's Brazil or Russia or India, we know over the next 3 to 5 to 10 years, there are going to be a large number of new people coming onto the internet, and they're going to become global commerce citizens. And so our investments have that medium to longer term time horizon.
If you had to say something directly to Mr. Icahn now, what would it be?
Mr. Icahn, I'm staying focused on doing what our shareholders want, which is driving innovation and execution, and that over time will drive shareholder value.
You're not concerned that the stock price has been relatively flat over the course of the past year, as he and others have pointed out?
You know, you have to look at it over a reasonable period of time. So I'm always concerned about the stock price. I always think we're undervalued. And what I can do about that is to ensure that we're staying focused on the business, staying focused on capitalizing on the enormous opportunities that exist out there right now, and leveraging the really strong assets and opportunities we have in front of us.
One very last question. The NCAA brackets are coming out. You are a basketball player. Do you have any favorites this year?
Well, my CFO, Bob Swan, is an ardent Syracuse fan.
Okay.
You got that on one end. I've been sort of a Duke admirer for years, but the team I'm keeping an eye on this year is Arizona for more of a personal reason. In 6th grade, my youngest son, who's now 18, 19, In 6th grade, he played in an AAU basketball team against Aaron Gordon, who's the star freshman on Arizona. And in 6th grade, in an AAU game, Aaron Gordon dunked. It is unlike anything I've ever seen. A 6th grade kid dunking, and now he's a spectacular player. So I'll be keeping my eye on Arizona.
We'll keep our eye on Arizona and also eBay and Mr. Icahn. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rebecca.